Hi, I'm here with Raaja Nemani, CEO of Bucketfeet. Raja, please tell us how you came up with the idea for Bucketfeet.
Yeah, it's a great question, and it's sort of an interesting story. So I worked in finance for 4 years, from 2004 to 2008, at which time I decided that I wanted to quit my job to backpack around the world. So I did just that and traveled to 25 countries on 6 continents for about a year and a half, which was amazing experience. During that time, I met who would later become my co-founder, Aaron Firestein, who similarly, after graduating college, decided to move to South America to live and work. So when I met Aaron, I found out that he designed shoes, and he actually made a pair of shoes for me that I wore as I traveled around the world. And everywhere I went, I would get these comments on these shoes, but more than that, I'd always have an interesting story to tell about them, about him, the fact that he was an artist, where I was living, how I got them, about the design. So it made the product, I think, a lot more interesting, and it made everyone that met me, I think, a little more vested in me. And so it was sort of this idea of creating connections through shoes. So after I finished my trip, I actually reached out to Aaron with the idea to sort of create a brand around some of our life experiences. One was travel, 2 was the shoes he made that he designed for a lot of people, as well as the ones he made for me and the ones that caused so many conversations. And then 3 was a trip Aaron actually took to Brazil, where he was able to do a photo project with street artists in the favelas of Rio. The inspiration there was the idea that art could be used to connect communities of people, that art was universally appreciated, and that there were all these talented people out there in the world that most people probably didn't know about. So we sort of took all of those, ideas and created a brand around that, which is what Bucketfeet is today.
Cool. And now tell us about the key steps that you took to really help your company take off.
So we had this great idea in May of 2010, and I think being naive about what it took to start a business was helpful, because we didn't know all the challenges we would face. I would say the 3, or a couple of the really big challenges was one, building the product. How do we make shoes? We had no fashion experience, no footwear experience. 2 was, how do we want to sell it? And we chose to do that online without really knowing how to build a website. And then 3 was, okay, we have this idea, we're hopefully going to have this product, we're going to have a way to sell it. How do we pay for all the stuff that it's going to take to do all of that? So where do we get money from to start? So on the manufacturing side, a big first step was just networking with our sort of contacts, and it ended up being a friend of mine from college whose parents had started a successful apparel brand that made an introduction for us to a manufacturer in China that eventually became our manufacturing partner. We didn't know at the time that Li & Fung is actually the #1 sort of manufacturer of soft goods in the world. They're like the best partner we could ever have, and so that sort of solved that issue for us. On the website side, again, asked around a lot, did a lot of Google searching, as you would do, and eventually found out that another friend of mine had a company that supported entrepreneurs without a tech background by helping them on the development design side. And so that company is called Dashfire. It's here in Chicago as well. And we still today work with Dashfire to sort of on the technology side. And then 3 was, capital. We had some savings, but, footwear, there's a lot of working capital inventory needs with the footwear business. And so we realized very early on that we would need to raise capital. So initially it was family and friends. Then it became, more angel investors, angel community, including people like Brian Spaley of Trunk Club, which is also a Chicago company. And since then, we've raised even more capital from, more professional angels, as well as Strategic Brand has also made a large investment in the business.
Great. And Raja, what are some successful strategies you've used to market your product?
That's a great question. So early on is very different than what we do now. Again, early on we had capital constraints, so we sort of had to do as much as we could do for free. So what worked really well for us, which isn't rocket science. I think it really is about just executing appropriately for your product or service or brand, was social media. So social media has been really, really huge for us. Today, we have over 75,000 followers on social media, but it didn't always start that way. So simple things like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, using them for different purposes, and just putting sort of a human voice and face, I guess, behind our brand has allowed us to connect with people. I think it has shown that we're authentic. We sort of are the same types of people that we believe would shop for this product, and it's been a really great way to engage people in a targeted way. On top of that, events have been really good for us. Bucketfeet in particular is very visual. A lot of people don't think they can pull off the shoes, even though we beg to disagree. And once people do, they fall in love with the product. So we've really put a focus on in-person events. The idea that telling the story, showing people the product, letting them touch and feel it, really is the best way to engage people. It's difficult with a small team to scale that, but it's been a really, really great way to market the business. And then lastly, it's word of mouth. It goes back to the reason I was so captivated by the shoes Aaron designed for me. They are prints that stand out. These are for people that want to be original, people that want to be unique, people that want to stand out, people that don't consider themselves as just another face in the crowd. And so when you wear these shoes, people will invariably ask you about them. I guarantee it will happen. And when they do, you have this unique story to tell. So word of mouth, above all else early on, was a big driver from a marketing perspective. Now, with a greater budget, we still do all of those things, but we're also starting to spend a little bit of money from an advertising perspective, mostly digitally, when it comes to your typical AdWords, Facebook, things like that.
Great. And Raj, I have one last question for you.
Yeah.
What is your outlook on Bucketfeet in the next 3 years?
So Bucketfeet is growing extremely quickly. We were at only 2 people until fall of last year. We then quickly were at 6 people. We're now, including some sort of part-time people, at 14. We expect that growth to continue extremely rapidly this year. In terms of outlook, we continue to try to build our online business, our sort of U.S. retail distribution, as well as bringing on new markets internationally that we want to distribute to. And so that's sort of business as usual, but doing that at an accelerated pace. And then on top of that, we are beginning to consider product extensions to basically diversify sort of our product offering away from the sort of type of product we have now into whether it's new shoes or other sort of related apparel items. We're evaluating quite a few brand collaborations with other really, really cool brands where we can each sort of benefit from each other's reach and market. And I guess, continuing to build the team. That's going to be a big thing. We're sort of running out of bandwidth here. We're moving so quickly. And so just bolstering the team in places where, we don't have a lot of expertise. I think that's something we've always done well. I think, Aaron and I are good at a couple of things, not good at a lot of things. So we were able to bring on people that helped us in those areas, and we want to continue to do so.
Great. Well, I wish you the best of luck, Raaja.
Thank you.
If you're interested in learning more and connecting with Raaja Nemani, go to Fundology.com.